collaboration with State University Manado UNIMA and Stanford Institute of Technology for India for promoting cooperation in academics, education, and research. So after completing this purpose, I would like to share the objectives of this collaboration. The parties agreed to exclude a basis for their cooperation in the areas of mutual interest and agree to work in the as follows: seminars, faculty development program, and expert lecture series. So after all these, now I would like to over this to Dolly Siddiqui, Student Coordinator, International Connect. Thank you.
Greetings for the day. So I welcome Dean Dr. R.E. Kembuan, Director KIT, Dean Academics Dr. Neeraj Mishra Sir, Coordinator Dr. Nurul Islam Sir, Informatic Head VVP Rancho, and Coordinator Informatics Secretary Cindy P. Monash, Informatics Lab Head Christopher Santa, Student Coordinator of Manado University Glendy Colongian, Student Coordinator of Kanpur Institute of Technology Ayushi and Dolly, and faculty members and all other students. So, the keynote speaker for the day is Mr. Rajat Goel, Assistant Professor, Kanpur Institute of Technology. Over to you, sir. Yes, sir. Dean Dr. R.E. Kembuan, I request you for your kind words.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera untuk kita sekalian. Shalom, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The respectful Rector of Manado State University, Professor Dr. D.C. Katu, MPD, Dean Faculty of Engineering, Dr. A.D. Kimbuan, MPD, Informatic Engineering lecturers, students, and guests who attend today's guest lecture event. First of all, I would like to thank and welcome to our very honored guest, for your time to join with us today. Mr. Rajat is an assistant professor at Kanpur Institute of Technology, and he would be sharing with us about Python programming language. Learning programming languages is a friction. The habit of writing the correct lines of code, the habit of using the right reasoning, and the habit of using the appropriate formulation. These processes will be also provide distinct advantages for people who learn programming languages. To create a product with the programming language, including applications such as games, microcontroller devices, or OIT devices, we cannot escape the programming logics that will be used to make the product so that the product works expected. Logic and programming algorithms are very important in developing the product. So, as informatics student, this is very essential for you. It's very essential to all of you to understand about what I mentioned earlier, because it will help your career in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, as we know, that today's event is an implementation of collaboration program between informatics engineering department Nagaland State University and Kabul Institute of Technology, India. So we do hope that by implementing this program will be beneficial for both institutions. In short, on behalf of Rector of Manado State University and Dean Faculty of Engineering, I would like to express my tremendous gratitude to Informatics Engineering Department to conduct this event. Hopefully, by participating on this event will provide great benefits to all of us. I think that's all for me. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you so much, sir. I would like Mr. Rajat Goel to carry on with this webinar.
Thank you, Tony. Let me start with the introduction of Python. So, for any programming language, if we begin with an programming languages, then I have prepared a small introduction for Python programming language. And as much as coding part is important, as theoretical part is also important. So, let's start with the introduction of Python. Let me share my screen. That's what you can see. Saying what the single participant is looking for the screen sharing.
Mr. Goel, I'm sorry, we cannot hear clearly your voice.
I'm saying that the host is disabled, the participant screen sharing. Can you please make it
Oh,
enable?
okay. I already made you a co-host, so you can share your screen.
Okay, thanks. Please let me know when you can see.
Yeah, we can see.
Yeah, thanks. So let's start with the basic introduction of Python first. So if I talk about the Python programming language, then about Python, Python is an interpreter object-oriented high-level programming and scripting language. It is very essential to understand all these things that is written here. The key points are programming language. You all know about the programming language, I don't know. Then it is interpreted scripting language and object-oriented. All the features, these are all the features that Python actually contains. Nowadays it is a very powerful programming language. So let's start with one key point. It is saying that Python is interpreted. What is the meaning of interpreter? So interpreter is nothing but a later program. So you all know that computer system understand only machine language, that is in the form of 0 and 1. So to make computer understand what we are giving it as instruction, so there are translator programs that are very essential and come up with this role. So basically there are two type of translator program. One is compiler and one is interpreter. And what translator do actually, it converts the high level language to the source code, that is machine language. And there are two ways by which translator programs can translate high level language to machine language. One is compiler. What compilers do? A compiler takes the source code
and translate the whole object code all in one go. Once converted, the object code can be run unassisted at any time. That means once an executable file gets created, then it's not required to compile again and again. Okay. Second is interpreter. Interpreter is different than the compiler. What compiler do? Compiler translate whole program at once, but interpreter read code line by line. That means the interpreter translates code in object code, one instruction at a time. So what is the basic difference? In compiler-based programming language, what happens when user type the code and compile it? If there is any error in between of the code, then it actually don't run. But instead, in interpreter, if a user write the code and make it run while interpretation, then what happens if there is a error in line number 60? Let's say for an example, line number 60. Then what it will do? It will work correctly till line number 15. Then it will throw an error in line number 60. This is the basic difference in compiler and interpreter. And just for the remember, Python is interpreter based programming and scripting language. So in program, what is language? What programming language? Programming language are medium by which we can give instruction to machine what to do and how to do. And there is a scripting language too. We give instructions too by using scripting language as well. But there is a difference between programming language and scripting language. In programming language, one executable created, it doesn't require to, compile or translate it again and again. But in scripting language, all the time in runtime environment, we translate the code and then run it. So scripting language is somewhat slow than the compiled language or programming language. But the Python has both properties. It is programming language and as well as scripting language. So without wasting time, let's get started with code. And before starting with code, let's see how to make our environment ready to write Python programming codes. So let's get started with the basic installation of Python. So to install Python, what you can do, there is an official website for Python, but in search engine you can just say download Python. And it will, you have to search for this URL, that is https://www.python.org. Then if you go to downloads, then you can see the latest version of Python. So the latest version of Python is 3.10.5. One thing that that should be remembered to all the Python programmers, that Python is very specific with their versions. So always remember, there are basically two versions in market. Some programmers are using Python version 2 that is actually outdated, but still are in use for updation of the existing software that are already running in the market. And the second version is Python 3. And in Python 3 version, there are so many releases and the subversions. So the latest one is Python 3.10.5. But if I talk about the market in industry, people are currently using 3.8 and 3.9. Okay, so to download Python, you just have to click on this button and it will start the download. Okay, and after the download and installation, what you can do, you just have to go to your start menu and type. I'm going to tell three ways actually how to use Python. So let me write down here. Ways which we can use Python. The first one is using terminal or simply using okay. So how we can use terminal? How can we use Python through terminal? You just have to open terminal. Here, my PC is actually a Windows system, so I'm going to open command prompt. And if Python is installed correctly, and if you open the command prompt, you just have to write Python. Will tell you the details. So the version that I have installed in my system is 3.8.10. That is the latest one. Okay, and now Python is also started in my system. You can see three arrows here. That means Python is started in my system. One basic command by which you can get to know that if it is working or not correctly, just give a print statement. And give a print statement in Python, it is very easy. You just have to type print, and let's say Python, and see it is giving the output. So this is the one way by which we can run small script, one or two line of the code just to get the output. What is it is throwing to CMD. And second way, let's see the second way. Second, when we install Python, then it come up with its inbuilt shell, and ideally that is actually tool by which we can write programs in Python. It comes with inbuilt with the interpret. So we have inbuilt shell and text. It comes up with Python installation by default. Okay, so for the beginner who haven't used Python yet, it is very important to understand this part. Second part, very important. Okay, so what I'm going to type here, just ideally, remember this keyword, that is IDLE. You can take a notebook or diary with you, so it will be very helpful if you write these small things, and it will be very helpful to you when you will start coding with Python. So I have just typed IDLE here. I'm going to open it. So it is actually a Python shell. Okay, in Python shell, as it is an interpreter based programming language and scripting language, we can in Python shell we can write one or two liner of the code. Okay, to just see what output is coming or how it is performing the basic operation. Let me give it the same, the print statement, like let's say again, hello Python, now GUI this time, and it will throw the print statement. But what about the big programs? How can we write? Because it is when I'm writing the program, if you notice here, it after writing the single line of code, it is throwing the output immediately. Then how can we write big programs? What if we want to write program as we do in C, C++, and Java? So Python installation come up with a feature. It's an inbuilt text editor. So what we have to do, we have to go to files and just click on the new file button, and it will open the text editor. We can write multi-line code here and make it run at one shot. So let's start with some basic uh, syntax here. Let's start with basic syntax here. First, let's start with the input output. Okay. Before input output method, let's talk about variable also. One thing in Python is we don't have to include any library here. Okay, that is not important here in Python as we do in C or C++. We include library first and the function first, then we start coding. But in Python, it is not required or essential. You can just initialize variable and go with that. Like I'm assigning 4 to A. Here A is a variable and 4 is the value that is assigning to A. And let's take B equal to whatever the value. I'm taking 6. And remember I have used the print statement, the basic output method in Python. If I say here print and if I want to add some statement as well and the output, let's say another variable, let's say sum equal to A plus B, then we can write the variable name here like this. Okay, so now how can we run this multi-liner of code? And if you have noticed here in this code, whenever I have hit the enter button, it is not throwing the output. Here I have written the multi-liner code and we can run this multi-liner code at a single shot. What just you have to do, you have to click on this run button, run module, and it will ask to save the module. So the basic and very good way to execute your program and build your program, you can create a single folder and you can collect all the programs there. So I'm going to save this, but while I'm saving this, let me create a folder. Like I'm creating a folder here, Python, let's say webinar. Okay, so I'm going to collect today's all code here in Python webinar folder. Okay. Okay. Let's give the file name basic output method, basic underscore output underscore method. Let's say, and here we are saving the file, and you can see shell starts from here when I have entered hit the run button, and you can see the output here. So it is the text editor that comes inbuilt from the Python interpreter. Okay, then I have installed Python interpreter, then it comes with that. But yeah, if I talk about the third way of coding for Python programming language, that actually very helpful and that all programmers should use, that is the use of IDE, Interactive Development Environment. Using IDE is it is very easy to write down the code and see the output. So, for example, for Python we can use VS Code. So many people are using VS Code right now. It is from Microsoft. It is a Microsoft product, and one of my favorite is JetBrains Python. Okay, Python. Why Python is my favorite and why I recommend Python everywhere is because it is focused on Python. It is essentially designed for Python. So you can use Python IDE as well. So how can we install Python? Just type. You have to type Python here because to program any code in any of the programming language, it is very essential to build environment.
Paired. So to install Python, you can write Python
Search engine,
and you will see the result here. And it is free and paid both as well. Its community edition is free and its professional edition is paid. You can install community edition. It is free actually, and it is very helpful for the student and those who want to learn Python. Okay. So here is the website, and if you go to downloads, then you will see two editions here, professional and community, and it is available for all the famous for all the famous operating system like Mac OS, and for the Linux build, it is available for all. And I'm using my Windows PC, and I have downloaded the community edition of PyCharm for my PC. So it is very easy to write Python code using the PyCharm IDE. You can use VS Code as well, but it is very easy to use PyCharm. I recommend PyCharm. Okay, so let's start coding using the IDE, that is PyCharm. So here I have my PyCharm already installed in my system. I'm going to open it. Its installation is very easy. You just have to click on install button and it will get installed in your system. Now I'm opening my PyCharm first. When it first time open, it takes some time. It's a little bit heavy one. But when it will get started, it will be very smooth. So whenever you open the PyCharm, it will open your existing code and existing project on which you are working on. So as I'm going to make it all the things from scratch, so let me start with the new project. Okay, it is saying pure Python. Okay, and let me give it a Python project. Okay. Yeah, base interpreter. It is loading it with base interpreter. It's Python 3.8. Okay. Create new window. This window, I don't want this my existing project to be open here, so I'm clicking on this window. For the first time, it takes a few minutes, 1 or 2 minutes, and then when it gets open, it is very easy and lightweighted and responsive. So meanwhile, it is starting. Let me clarify. I'm using IDE. In IDE, actually, it is very easy to handle file system. I am saying this because you can see here my Python project is named as Python project. You can see it then on left side, and by default, it is creating my first Python file. For the Python, the extension is .py, and it is saying main.py. I can rename this or delete this, and if I want, I can create new code file here. You just have to click on the existing main.py, and you have to click on Python file, and you can name whatever you want, like my first program, my first program. Okay, and as you can see, it got open. I'm closing the existing one, and let's start with the basic input-output feature. And now, from now on, we will step by step learn all the basic syntax of Python today. Okay, so the today's session is going to be a syntax-based session where we will learn all the basic syntax that will require for small code writing. So let's get started with the print statement. The text is very small. Let me make it bigger for you guys. Okay. Is my text is visible to all of you? Or it is really very small? Okay, let me make it somewhat bigger for you. Let me make it like 16, I think. Let me make it like, okay. I think now the text is visible to all of you. Sir, text is visible to you, Nuru sir? Okay, so let's start with the basic output method. Uh, Print is the basic output method in Python programming language, and here we have one advantage over the other programming language while we are printing anything. While printing anything, we can print like this. Using the single quotation, we can give whatever we want, like this is my first program, or we can use double quotes as well, like print this is statement with double quotes. And to run the program, we can right click on the screen, and it will say whatever the screen in you are, it will take the name, and it will say run my first program, and here is the file name. I'm in run my first program.py. So I can run it from here, and you can see the output here. So now I think you got it why I was talking about the ID, why I was saying the ID is very easy to use. Here in IDE, I don't have to save files all the time while running the program. Okay, and at the same screen, I can see my code here, and I can see my output here as well. And also, I can see whether my code is still running or in dead loop or not by seeing this green button. If it is red, then my code is definitely in a dead loop. That is, it's executing and taking memory and time all the time. And if it is green, yeah, program is stopped, and it is saying here process finished with exit code 0. Okay, so ID comes with extra features that is very helpful for a programmer to write the code. Okay, so this is the basic output method in Python, and let's talk about some basic arithmetic operators here. So to see the single line of code, we can use shell, because in shell we don't have to run code all the time. We don't have to click on run button all the time actually. So let me open shell as well. So you will get to know that why the shell is also important, why it is given shell also. So let's talk about the some basic arithmetic operator. You know about like plus. So for addition, we use the simple way, basic operator. And here we don't have to specify the data type. We already get to know that what is the data type when we enter the data like this. So it's automatically taking floating values. We don't have to declare that it's a float. We don't have to specify all the time. It is one of the advantage of Python. And the second one is like I'm saying 8 9 56. It is giving the it is a basic subtraction. For multiplication, we use the same that we use in Java, C, C++. You can see the output for division like 42 divided by 4. You can see here I haven't specified whether it is integer value or floating value. It gives the floating value as a result. So what if I want integral division? So for integral division, we have one extra operator in Python that is not in C or Java. I think if I type the same thing but with the two division sign, you can see here the output, and this output is integral division output of 42 divided by 4. So in Python, for integral division, we can use this double division sign. And for modulo, it is the same, like we are saying this and this, and it is giving the modulo. Let's take different number like this. And you can see the modulo here. So these are basic arithmetic operator in Python. And let's talk about a little bit of logical operator as well. And as we know that the basic logical operator are and or not. So how we use logical operator in Python, and basically the logical operators we use with the conditional statement. And before the conditional statement, let me talk about the string as well. So these are all numeric data. These are all numeric data. We have string data type in Python as well. And for the string data type, it is very easy. Python makes it's very easy to use string data types in Python because we don't have to put a string in array or something like that. We can assign a string to any of the variable. We can assign a single letter, single word, even a single sentence or bunch of sentences in a single variable. Like we can give a string here. This is first string. String here. Okay. What if I access this variable? What if I say print A? Then it will print the value of this string that you can see here. Okay, so Python makes it very easy to use string values as well. So keep in mind, I have covered two things. One is numeric data type, and second one is string data type in Python. I have taken numeric data type and string data type, and let's do operation with the string data type as well. What if I type b equal to let's say, and yes, in a string data type as well we can use single quotes or double quotes, it doesn't matter. Here it's like I'm saying with Python. And what if I say a plus b? So it is concatenating the string.
All the participants, please, hello, all the participants, please ask any question if you have. So it will be more interactive program. You can raise your hand and ask the any question you have. You have doubt, any type of doubt you can ask. So it will be more interactive.
Okay. no problem.
Excuse me, sir.
Let's
Adik-adik
go further with
mahasiswa.
this.
Jadi kalau
So
ada
here,
excuse me, sir. Jadi adik-adik mahasiswa kalau ada pertanyaan bisa langsung interrupt dan raise hand, bisa langsung bertanya. Just it's enough. Mr. Rajat, you can continue.
I'm listening. Can you type the question that you are asking? Actually, I don't understand. Okay. Okay. For the data type, if I talk about the basic data type in Python, then there are two basic data types in Python. Basically, data types are divided in two categories in Python. One of the category is numeric data type, and the second category is string data type. And in numeric data type, it is further divided into multiple parts like integer, float, and in string data type, it is normal string and string as well. Okay, so these are the basic data type in Python. And there is one more. If I come with modules, if I take account of module as well, then according to module, there are some extra data types as well that they get introduced when we use the module. Like datetime module, for datetime module, the data type is datetime.datetime. Okay, so Python is dependent on modules as well, and as it is open source, there are more than 3 million modules in Python currently. Okay, so this is the basic data type classification as you asked for. Let me go further with this. So it is a basic output method, basic operators in Python, and string in Python that I have shown here. Let's start with the conditional statement. Let's start with conditional statement here. So if I talk about conditional statement, because when we will get to know that the conditional statement, then we will also be ready to use the logical operators as well that I was talking about. So if I talk about the conditional statement, if, elif, else, these are the keywords that we use in conditional statement. Let's talk about the if statement first. I'm saying is if statement just for heading. And as I'm going to make it a heading, so I don't want it to run when I will run this file. So what I'm going to comment it out. And for Python, if you want comment anything, you can just use this hash sign. And using PyCharm, how can you do commenting on a multiple lines? Let me show you. Like these are the different lines I have written. And if I want to comment all of these lines at one shot, select all these lines, press Control and forward slash, and it will comment all the lines. Okay, so here one point to note, in Python for commenting we use hash symbol. Okay. So now I'm going to talk about the conditional statement, and in conditional statement, first I'm going to talk about the if statement, and let's see what is the basic syntax of if statement. Let's write a 3 line of code to get to know that how the syntax of if statement got written and how it is working. So let's say. Here I'm saying a equal to 4, whatever. And for if statement, you just have to type if, and after if, you have to put the condition. Like I'm saying, if a is less than 3, print less, whatever. So if you see syntax here, clean this up. Please don't do any annotation here. Okay. So this is a basic text for conditional statement using if. So in here in line number 5, I have put it if. After if there is a condition, and when this statement got end, it got end with the colons, not semicolons. Here we are using colons, and all the things that should be inside the if clause. I have written with indentation gap. What is indentation? It is a four-liner, 4 spaces actually. Okay. So whatever we in Python, we don't use braces here, curly braces, or any kind of braces here to separate the line of code. For separation, we use indentation in Python. And what is the indentation? It is a 4 spaces. So if I'm writing a if statement and something is going to be inside this if statement, then it should be with the indent, and it's a single indent. Okay, and one thing more, I'm using IDE. If I'm writing the code correctly, you can see after the colon, if I'm pressing the enter button, it is taking indent by default. I don't have to give indentation like this. I'm hitting the enter and I'm counting the 4 spaces or pressing the tab button. I don't have to do this. I'm just hitting the enter and the sentence got in right place. So all the statements that I want to put inside a conditional statement, I have to give the intent. And whatever I want to be outside of the if statement, let me write here inside if statement. So you will get to know that when it will throw the output. And if I don't use the indent here, if I will remove the indent here, it will be outside of the if statement. Let's say I'm printing here outside of print statement. Okay. So here, let's understand this three-liner code. Here A is 4, and I'm saying if A is less than 3, then print it. Obviously, A is not less than 3, so it will not execute whatever written inside this if statement. So it will go outside and it will print this. Definitely, it should do this. Let's see what it is doing. And one thing, if you are using the PyCharm, if you have run any code one time and you are in the same screen, what I mean to say, I'm running this Python file all the time, and I'm the same screen. I don't have to click right button and click on run on my first program. You can see run button here, upper right corner. You can just hit this button and you can run the program and see it is saying outside of the print state. What if I say 31 here? So what it will do, it will go inside if, as well as when it will go outside of the statement, it will get this. So it will print both the lines. Okay, so let's run this and see if it is working. And yes, it is working. So it is a basic syntax of if statement. Okay, and we will use this syntax in programs as well, and there will be when they require use of if conditional statement, if, else, elif, and else. So let's write a program to get to know that which number is greater if there are 2 numbers given by the user. So here I'm going to add one more topic at a time as well, that is input method from the user. Okay. So to take the input from the user, we will cover both the topic at the same time. One is the conditional statement and one is the input method from the user. You have already seen the if statement. Now I'm going to take input from the user. So to take the input from the user, we use the input method in Python, and you just have to type input for input in Python. And if you want to give some statement with the input statement, you can give statement as well. Like I'm saying, enter first number. Okay, enter first number. So whatever the will be the, and here you can see it is you can see these red lines. Yeah, that means somewhere I'm writing this code wrong. So here is a space. That's why it was showing these curly red lines. In Python, it is very essential to use carefully use the spaces because it records the intent. And if you somewhere if you give wrong spacing, it will throw an error. Okay, that is indentation. So what it will do, it will take input from the user and assign the value to A. And we can see that also if we give print statement. You have entered here enter first number. It is saying enter first number. Let me give any number, and it is throwing the result. But here is the thing in Python. When we use input method in Python, then the basic, the data type it takes is a string. Okay, so 567 is not an integer value, it's a string value. And let me get clear to you, all of you. Like if I say enter second number, and if I say sum is A plus B, okay, then see. Like if I'm saying 23 and 30, let's say 31, what is this doing? It is concatenating it, it is not making the sum. So it is clear that the basic input method, if we don't specify the data type, then it is a string value. So to make it integer, we have to bound it with integer so that it will take integer value. So what we have to do here, I'm just typecasting it to integer. So it will be integer. Okay. And what if I run this now? So here the first number, like I'm saying the same number, that is 23 or 31. Now it is giving the sum of these numbers. So here one point, the basic input, the default input method is string type, and if I want to use another data type in method, then you have to typecast it with integer, you can typecast it with float, and there are several as well. You can go with the documentation and see what different thing we can do with the input method as well. So let's write a program using the conditional statement to get to know that which number is greater among the two given numbers. So I have talked about if statement here. We can obviously we can write a program only by using the if statement to determine which number is greater among two given numbers. So I'm going to use, I have already used if statement. Now I'm going to include else as well in conditional statement. So what I'm saying, if A is greater than B, print A, variable name. variable name without using the quotation so that it will take the values is great. Okay, and else print C is great. Okay, so it's a simple program to just get to know you to know that how we use if else conditional statement. I have written this just for the sake of the syntax. Let me run this and let's see what's happening here. So I'm running this program and it is asking to enter the first number here. So let's say 24 or any other number, 45. It is saying yes.
Disconnected.
For the keyword.
Paired.
The numbers are equal. Okay, so I have included equality equation here as well. In Elif, we have to give the condition if Elif A is equal to B. Okay, now I have included the condition, and how I get to know that I forgot to give the condition here. The color was different when I have written the wrong code, so I get to know that yeah, here the code is wrong, and I have updated the code here, and let's run this code. It is asking to enter the number, and let's see if equality condition is working. Yes, it is working, and it is saying both numbers are equal. So it is a basic conditional state introduction of conditional statement, how we use conditional statement in Python. There is just a logic for complex codes, but the syntax will be always the same for the conditional statement. So here was the kind of syntax for the conditional statement, and after the conditional statement, let me comment all it out. And let me repeat it again for what I'm using to comment it out. It is a hash symbol, and for the comment, and I'm using control with forward slash. And if I uncomment it out again, then again control plus forward slash, and it will uncomment all the lines. Okay, let's talk about looping statement here. Before starting looping statement here, let me get a water and let's 2-minute break here. Okay, let's take a 2-minute break, and you can write these things as well.
Thank you so much, sir, for gracing the webinar. And I would like to thank Dean Manado University, Dr. Ari Kembuan, Director CIT, Dr. Brajesh Vashne, sir, Vice Dean Manado University, Dr. Zafar Bongus, Informatics Head and Coordinator VPP Ramsong, and Secretary Cindy P. Munesh, Lab Head Christopher Santa, Coordinator CIT Dr. Nurul Islam, sir, and to all the faculty members and students of both the institutes. We will look forward for your presence in tomorrow's scheduled online expert lecture at 10:30 a.m. sharp India time zone and at 1 p.m. sharp Indonesian time zone. Thank you so much.
We need to make a documentation.
So, Professor Vivi, we stop here now and we will reach you tomorrow same time. And thank you for all joining this program. And tomorrow we will again meet. And one more thing I want to say,
Can
the
everyone
student who joined here, please mark your attendance which shared by the Professor Vivi. Thank you very much.
We need to make a documentation, so I would like to ask every participant in this Zoom to turn on the video. Please turn on the video because I'm screenshot all the participants. Please turn on the video. Semua mahasiswa nyalakan videonya. Semua mahasiswa nyalakan videonya. Dosen juga jika ada, tolong dinyalakan videonya. Dr. Nurul, if you are still in the room, please turn on. We, mahasiswa semua, all the students, please turn on the video. All the students, please turn on the video because we need to make a documentation for certificate. Silakan nyalakan videonya karena sedang live YouTube. Jadi kalau mau buat sertifikat, tinggal lihat di YouTube saja. Terima kasih banyak atas kehadiran dari adik-adik mahasiswa juga dari perguruan tinggi lain, Politeknik Negeri Manado, Unsrat, dan dari luar pula yang tidak bisa duduk satu-satu. Sampai kita ketemu lagi besok di jam yang sama. Sesudah itu kita akan ada workshop di akhir bulan Juni. Workshop hanya untuk peserta yang hadir di 2 hari ini. Demikian, terima kasih banyak. Selamat sore.
Sore.
Terima kasih ya. Bagaimana tadi ada pertanyaan? Thank you Mr. Rajat, Mr. Goel, thank you so much. Oh, it's Dr. Nurul. Dr. Nurul, thank you ya.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nurul.
Yeah, thank you so much. Actually, our lecture was done. Oh, hello.
differences and many things about our country and your country, like that.
Yeah, okay. So tomorrow 1 hour, 1 hour, yeah.
To our students, that will be beneficial for all of us.
Okay. See you tomorrow. Adik-adik mahasiswa, bagaimana tadi, boleh paham?
Thank you also, Professor Tito Tulak.